What is the secret to unlocking your full potential? What makes your idols any different than you? How do you become the person you've always wanted to be in life? This is where you get all of your questions answered. My name is Justin Schenk, and I sit down with some of the most epic individuals who are changing the world with their actions in business and in life. We discuss how they did it, why they pushed themselves, and more importantly, how they were able to focus on continuous growth to achieve their dreams. Welcome to the Growth Now movement. Hey guys, I just wanted to take a quick second and let you know that I am helping podcasters all around the world level up their podcast, grow their audience, and learn how to monetize their show quickly. If this is something that you're interested in, go over to beginpodcastingnow.com, fill out the contact form, and we'll hop on a free 20-minute consultation call to see how I can help you do the same thing. Now, let me introduce you to our next guest. This week, I sit down with Rob Dionne.
It's if you really do need to dig in and find out why you are the way you are and what's holding you back, because we create all these rackets and stories for ourselves that prevent us from achieving the things that we want to achieve.
Rob is somebody who I met at the first New Media Summit. We were both chosen as icons of influence, not once, but twice in the podcast space. Rob is the host of Open Sky Fitness, a podcast that really narrows down all different types of fitness tips, tricks, and everything else in between. But the cool part about Rob is he just gets it, right? He understands that it's a lifestyle because he has a great why behind the reason he got into fitness. From failures to upsets to then being really able to take control of his life and really help move the needle in the healthy direction for the world with his podcast, Open Sky Fitness, which he hosts with his wife. I think that you guys are really going to like this episode. We dive into a ton of different stuff as far as what diet might work best for you, how to get the mind right so the body follows, because it's much more than just some crunches that's going to get you healthy. I would love it if you guys just took 1 second to click that subscribe button, potentially give us a 5-star rating on iTunes or wherever you're listening to the show. Every little bit helps. We want to thank you guys for tuning in week after week. Now, without further ado, I give to you my good friend, Rob Dionne. So I've known you for way too many months, and you're finally coming on the show, man. Welcome to the Growth Now movement.
That's such an odd way. I've known you for way too many months, man.
Way
We've
too
known
many.
each other for way many months. Yeah.
Well, the thing was, I was going to say way too long, but I was like, last September wasn't really way too long. But we are coming up on a year, so we'll have to celebrate the anniversary.
Yes, we'll go out on a date for our anniversary. Yes,
for sure.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I love your show. I love what you're doing. I dig all those pictures that are behind you, except the fact that I can't see myself on one. But you're going to have to reorganize this after we've done this. I know. So I've interviewed Leslie Durso. She's right behind you. I've interviewed Preston Smiles, which is right behind you, and then Coach Kavanaugh is a mutual friend between us. Natalie Jill at the top there. I've interviewed her on my show.
Yeah, she's cool.
Is that what's his name? Fabio on the right side.
You got Fabio Viviani. You got Zane Lamprey. And what's his name? This guy.
That's good.
Kyle Maynard. I couldn't tell in the reflection who it was.
Okay.
I need to get more. I just haven't gotten around to it. And Justin Wren's on the wall too. So Bert Kreischer talked about Justin Wren, Ed Milet. Everybody knows that guy. Really good dude. But here's the thing. Look, we connected at New Media Summit. We're both icons of influence in the new media space, which is obviously an honor to have a title like that. But what I like about you is like I'm just kind of like the podcast guy. Like for you though, like you're actually knowledgeable. So you're in the health space.
Okay.
You teach people how to get healthy and how to get fit. How did you even get into the health space? And then we'll get into details later. But who are you today, and who is Rob, and why should people follow you?
I didn't. Well, that's a lot to bite off there. But what got me into this? I'll sum it up in 3 words. I moved to Los Angeles to be an actor. I always liked doing, playing sports and such as a kid, but I had no intention of getting to the fitness world and the health world. I grew up in a family that did not pay attention to nutrition, lifestyle. None of that was something that was important in my family's world, and it's still not. I'm in LA now. My family's on Long Island. That's not part of their inside bubble, is caring about health. Maybe they think they do, but it's such a different definition of what I would think would be healthy. However, moved to Los Angeles to pursue acting. I went to an acting conservatory for 4 years. My wife was a conservatory dancer. We met at school and we've been together 18 years. We moved to LA both to pursue performance, either dance or acting, or whatever it is. And after I think it was like my second year here, I did a play, Troilus and Cressida. It was a terrible show, but I knew that I was going to have to take my shirt off during the show. So I did what an athlete does, and I was a wrestler, which was I starved myself and I worked out all the time to get myself to look, chiseled, right? Get down to like, I don't know what, maybe 8% body fat or something. Anyway, the guy that was performing across me, I was playing Achilles. He was playing Ajax, and he had to take his shirt off too, and didn't look so good on his end. And he was, he looks at me, he goes, dude, how did you do that? And I was like, well, I dieted down and I worked out and here it is. And he said, would you teach me how to do it? And I was like, well, I'm not a personal trainer. I mean, you could hire somebody to do that. He goes, dude, no, I want you to teach me. How did you do that? And I said, he's like, I'll pay you. Okay.
All right.
What are we talking about here? And then we negotiated a price, and I didn't have any certifications, didn't have any background in personal training. However, the only saving grace was that I was always the guy in my 20s who friends would want to work out with. Mm-hmm. And I would I'm very A-type. I like to show up on time. So if I have plans to go to the gym, I'll be there Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m. and I'll do it, right? And if people want to join me, that's great. And so I would have friends throughout time join me at the gym, and I would show them what I was doing. So that was basically how I started in personal training. And then I got advanced certifications and such and started learning. And within the first year, that client lost 100 pounds.
Wow.
He looked really great. And I started bringing on new clients and started creating a business around that. And I was trying to juggle being a personal trainer, being an actor, and being a waiter in Los Angeles, and a bartender and a restaurant manager all at the same time. And so
that's crazy.
I know. Well, it's like, I think it's basically the lifestyle of an actor who lives in LA.
Yeah.
Basically, you find maybe one or two other side gigs, and those gigs will finance your acting career. And I just decided at some point that I didn't want to be a poor actor. I was probably around 30 years old, and I was looking at guys that were in their 50s that were still chipping away at it, trying to do it, waiting tables, bartending. And I was like, I don't want that life. These guys are living in, small little studio apartments. They're driving beaters around, and I don't want to be broke, from now until I'm 60.
Yeah. What I find interesting about your story so far, not to cut you off, but
is nothing.
No, this is really boring. This is going to end the call. No. So what I find really interesting is that you're an observer of people, right? So you saw your family as people who weren't healthy, and you go, I want to be healthy. And then you saw these older gentlemen still trying to chip away and become actors, and go, I don't want to be that. How do I become something else? So let's go back to you and your family and how you were raised, right? So as you're growing up, when was the realization of like, wow, they're not very healthy. This isn't the life. Like what happened there? Like that you're like the obvious started to show itself.
Well, my mom was always on a diet. That was the first thing. I grew up in a family. I had 4 older sisters. I was the only boy, and I was the youngest. So when we would have dinner, my mom would cook grilled chicken and broccoli for herself. And then we would have spaghetti and meatballs, or we would have like some kind of roast or sandwiches or something like that. And so my mom was always on a diet while everyone else was eating real food. And so what that taught me was that the only time you need to go on a diet is when you've lost control of your life, right? If you're overweight, you need to diet. Otherwise, you're fine. Just keep doing what you're doing, and there's nothing wrong as long as you're thin, right? Because the real reason for going on a diet was to lose weight. It wasn't to be healthy.
Sure.
So that was one thing. And then in 1995, my dad had his first heart attack. And I was a senior in high school, and it was kind of rocked my world because my dad was never overweight. Yeah. My dad is a carpenter, general contractor, worked for the Long Island Railroad for my entire life. And one day he just has a massive heart attack, has to go in for a triple bypass. He's laid up in the hospital for, I think, 3 weeks before he can come home. We had to like go to the city every day to go see him. And, you know, cause he had surgery in Manhattan and and then he had to change what he was eating. But I was a senior in high school. And so the sad thing is here's this guy sitting at the end of the table eating the heart healthy nutrition that the dietitians at the hospital would give us. And not to take anything away from dietitians, you know, or from doctors, but when it comes to like truly being healthy and nutrition, they don't fucking know anything.
Yeah.
They're just basically it's about calories in, calories out. Heart healthy is basically whole wheat, processed food shit that people are consuming on a regular basis, that they think is going to heal us. But in reality, what it creates is more inflammation. So years and years go by, maybe 2 or 3 years go by. My dad has lung cancer then. And then years go by and my dad has another heart attack and has to have stents put in. And then years go by and my dad has strokes and he's had probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 strokes. I don't know how many heart attacks. Lung cancer, thank God, he only had once and had the upper lobe of one of his lungs removed. And for me, it's like, this is my path. And it's the same thing you're talking about when it comes to the waiters and the bartenders at the restaurants. Like, I don't want that path.
Yeah.
But yet I'm on that path. So I need to get off and figure out how do I create a new path.
Yeah.
And that's basically when I'm like forecasting the future for myself. If I continue doing what I'm doing, if I follow the same cooking that I was taught from my parents, if I follow the same lifestyle that I was taught from my parents, I'm going to end up where my parents are, which is unhealthy and in pain. And that's my dad right now he can get around, but because of the strokes, he has basically no use of his left arm. His left leg is numb at all times. So it's really hard for him to get around, and he's in his 70s. So it's just like life is fucking beating him down. Yeah. And has never done physical activity besides walking. Never saw my dad go and like do some push-ups, do some squats, you know, like let me show. Even when I was working out in high school, my dad never got involved with any of that. And it's not that was his fault. It was just that something he was not comfortable with. He didn't understand, and nobody taught him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Story.
That's interesting. I mean, and fear in a sense became your driver, right? So I find a lot of times that fear paralyzes people. So you're afraid to do it. You're afraid to go speak on a stage, so you don't do it. You're afraid to make a podcast because people are going to listen to you and you don't know what they're going to think, so you don't do it. With you, fear is like a driver. Like fear is your motivator. So what do you think is different about you, or what can you say to somebody who might be afraid to do something? Like how do they actually take control of that and actually dive in?
That's a really good observation, Justin. And I've never actually like categorized it like that about myself. But you're actually probably 100% right. If I fear something, I push towards it. I lean in. And I don't know why I do that. But it's true. Even when I have unbelievable stage fright. Like even when, not right now because I do this kind of thing quite often. So I'm used to it. But I have unbelievable stage fright. Even when you and I met at New Media Summit and I get on stage, like my heart is pounding when I'm up there. And I have a very good, I learned something. I went to acting school. I started taking acting classes. The reason I dove into it because it scared the living shit out of me. And I knew that if I didn't get this under control, I'd never conquer it, which meant that I had to lean in and do it all the time. So I had to get on stage all the time and speak all the time, learn lines, and potentially look stupid on stage in front of a lot of people. And therefore I kept pushing into it. And it took me from being in a community college doing like little plays here and there to then majoring in acting at a conservatory. And then even going to England to perform and to take classes there and really like push into it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's something that I do. And I guess I do the same thing. Podcasting was one of the reasons I started podcasting was because I was always intimidated by people in the fitness world and in the health world because I felt like I didn't know enough. And I think podcasting gave me an opportunity to lean in and really meet those people and learn from them and put myself on the same fucking level as them. Right now, we are looking at each other eye to eye, and I'm having this conversation with you, and there's nothing telling me that you are either better than me. And this is my own inner voice. You're better than me. You're smarter than me. You have more experience than I do. Where it was just like, no, now we're just equals, and I'm just having a conversation with you, as if we're drinking a beer at a restaurant.
For sure. So now you're in this chase, right? So first I want to say congratulations. You have a daughter on the way. So she'll be born about a month and a half after this comes out. So that's super exciting. So congratulations to that. So when you take a look at your dad in the state that he's in right now at 70 years old,
yeah,
how does that make you feel? Like, cause I felt like, and now I'm going to sound like a therapist. And I don't mean to sound like a therapist, but I felt like it seemed like there was a lot of anger when you were, just how you were addressing it. Maybe that was just your tone at the time. I don't know. But how's it really kind of make you feel? And like, what's your driver now because of that?
Yeah, I'm only smiling because I know that you try to dig in and like get people emotional, and but I'm happy to go down the road, man. Because you're right. And you talk about therapists. I go to therapy. I go to therapy every week. I think it's one of the best things somebody can do for themselves. I talk about it on my show. My wife goes to therapy. It's if you really do need to dig in and find out why you are the way you are and what's holding you back, because we create all these rackets and stories for ourselves that prevent us from achieving the things that we want to achieve.
Totally true. I agree as well, by the way. I think everybody should go to therapy at least once in their life.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of my father was always the secondary influence in the house. My mom was definitely the driving force with everything that happens. And I feel like my dad kind of took a back seat as a male role model in my life, and he never really took charge of things. And this is, I love my dad obviously to death. But the thing is that I don't feel like I got a lot of like self-discipline from him. I never really got like that feeling that I was taken under a wing by a man as a kid growing up. So I felt like I had that missing, and there is some kind of anger that he never. But the thing is that not only did he not do it really with me, but he didn't do it for himself. Like he never took charge of himself. He never took he never took inventory and goes, what am I doing in my life that's not working right now? And why am I feeling sick? Why am I having heart attacks? Why am I having lung cancer? Why do I, how do I fix this? So that question never came out. It was, I go to the doctor gives me a pill, I'm done. And I don't have to do anything else besides that. And that angers me, because that just means that you're not in charge. You're a victim in your life. And I refuse to be a victim in my life. Even though I have those tendencies to want to be a victim, I definitely, like you're saying, like I get scared of something, and I push into it, I lean into it, which basically kicks me out of the victim mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the good news is, and I'm a firm believer in this, and I believe you can think the same thing too, is that like life happens for you, not to you. Right. And so, and it's not that like, the punishment of what your father's going through physically, was for you for a reason. But what you did was you took what happened and you've made something great of it. And now you help thousands and thousands of people through their fitness journey because of this. And so you literally took that fear and that anger and you made this into something great, which is obviously your podcast, Open Sky Fitness, and what you're doing online with Sky Fit's challenges and all that stuff. Right. So, yeah. So it's actually a good thing that all this happened for a lot of the world. And so what makes you like the go-to guy? Because like when I talk to you, I know that you're beyond knowledgeable in a lot of different health space. Like we just talked about this beforehand, how you're like, yeah, I have like keto people on my show. I have paleo people on my show, but you're like, I'm not really that. I'm like the overall health of your entire life kind of guy. Right. So, yeah. So what makes you the go-to expert on that subject?
Well, if you want to be only one thing, right? If you want to be a bodybuilder, go and learn from a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. If you want to be on the ketogenic diet and live a ketogenic lifestyle and that's it, and you're good with that, go do that. But if your goal is to figure out what works best for you, right? And kind of test the waters, because that's what life is, in my opinion, then that's what I do. I don't believe there's one path for, one person. Like everybody has their own path. Or there's one path for every person, right? Every individual has their own path. You have your own specific path. I have my own specific path. I tried to be pescatarian, vegetarian. I tried, I don't know, a shit ton of detoxes. I don't know how many times I've done, the cayenne pepper diet. In terms of working out, worked out way too much, worked out way too little. Like I've played and tested for myself to see what works best. And that's what life is. It's kind of figuring that out. That's what I help people do. I have people reach out to me. I'm not even kidding, because I've done men's physiques competitions. I've done triathlons, marathons, mud runners, all these different things to kind of figure out what I like to do and what works best for me. But I have people reaching out to me because I've stepped on stage and I've won men's physique competitions. People are like, I want to know how to do that. Teach me how to do that. And I'm like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not interested in teaching you how to do a men's physique competition, because I'm not about being scientific about that. I'm about experiencing things. If you want to do a men's physique competition, that's fantastic. And you want to know how to do it within a lifestyle, that's awesome. Let's have that conversation. But I'm not like, there's people who are competition preppers, and there are people who are lifestyle, like lifestyle gurus. I would put I hate the word guru, but like that's what I focus on. So I really, I think if you're looking to really change the game for yourself, then that's what I'm good at. It's going to be painful. It's a longer road. It's even though like my SkyFit challenge that we're going to talk about is only 8 weeks, the people that are in there, some of them have been in there 9 months already.
Yeah.
Like there's people in there that have lost like 40 pounds in the last 9 months, but it's like, I don't tell them they have to leave, or they can stay in there and continue on. And what the point is to create these lifestyles that basically it's a foundation for the life that you want for yourself.
Yeah.
And if you think that that's going to be a P90X, or some kind of, just following a very specific diet plan, like a ketogenic diet, I personally don't think that works in the long haul.
It's not sustainable.
No, who's the guy that you interviewed? I always forget his name, the machine.
Bert Kreischer, yeah.
Bert, he was talking about how he's a goal-oriented person, and that's how he functions, right? But, and then he lost 40 pounds in a month.
Yeah.
But then he started gaining it right back immediately. Or he was talking about that yoga story of talking to that yoga instructor in LA, and he lost, I don't know how much he lost, and in like the span of like 3 months. And then he met his wife, started dating, they got married, and then he immediately started gaining the weight back because he wasn't creating a lifestyle. And for me, I go, oh man, like I just feel so bad for that guy because he's not learning anything.
Yeah.
When you go to Weight Watchers, you're not learning anything about yourself. Yeah. You're just following the formula. And then when you're done with it, I had a client, I feel like I'm spinning off, but I had a client who lost 60 pounds in it was less than 6 months. 60 pounds in like less than 6 months. She was going to a doctor in Los Angeles who was charging her $250 a week, $1,000 a week to meet with him for 15 minutes. For 15 minutes to weigh her and then basically give her a thumbs up or a thumbs down as to how she's doing. And she had to order food. So she's paying him $250 a week. And then she's ordering food to be delivered. That's a low calorie diet. That's 800 calories being delivered to her every single day. And she probably blew, I don't know, 10 grand or something
800
like that.
calories a day?
800 calories, a low calorie diet every single day. And so she lost all this weight because she was starving herself. And then the guy actually, the funny thing is the guy retired, which is the reason why she stopped going to him. He was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
And the whole entire time I was like, I'm supporting you along this journey. I definitely, I'm happy that you're deciding to do something, but I'm telling you right now, I wish you would decide to do something else, and I've given her advice, about how I think she should go about it. But I said, you're not learning anything right now. You're not learning anything about how you can cook for yourself, how you can maintain this. Obviously she's wealthy enough to have food delivered to her and have a doctor, weigh her in every 15, for 15 minutes every week. But at the end of it, and the guy retired, she gained all the weight back and then some.
Yeah.
And what she did was she slowed her metabolism down because she was starving herself. Her body was getting used to running on that many calories. It's the same thing that happens with the people with the Biggest Loser. And the next thing you know, it's like 4 months later and she's gained all the way back faster than she would have. She took it off and she's depressed and feel like she's lost all of her momentum and she doesn't want to start up again because it was a lot of work to get there.
Yeah. And I think that's what I like about your approach is that it is a lifestyle change, right? So I've had beers with you. So it's not like you're one of those guys who's like, I don't drink a beer. I don't do this, right? So like you still live your life. But you create this lifestyle for yourself so you can then go have that beer and still have the 6-pack. So
people freak out all the time when I go out to dinner with them and I order a burger, French fries, and a beer.
I saw it. Although you got a lettuce wrap burger.
Yeah. Well, okay. But I think I still had French fries,
you
right?
Did.
And it's like, but still, I'm drinking 2 beers with you, a burger wrapped in lettuce and some fries, right? And it's like, is this healthy? And it's like, well, no, this is not healthy necessarily, but the way I live my life is healthy. And so when I want to go out and hang out with the boys and like cut loose a little bit, I could do that because I know tomorrow I'm going to go back to eating what I was eating.
Yeah, and that's just so easy for you to do because that's what you do. And then when you go out with the boys and have a good time, like it's a treat, right? So I'm hoping before the baby is born, you really go out with the boys and have a good time.
Yeah.
So at least once, because after that it's over. Like no beers ever again.
All right.
But you're absolutely right, and I think that's kind of the key. But what's your average? So people that are listening can kind of get an idea for what you do. What's your average day look like as far as diet exercise, just for you?
Okay. Well, I wake up in the morning and I have something called it's kind of like a cross between like a keto coffee and a bulletproof coffee. That's how I start my day. Basically, it's just like 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, cinnamon, and turmeric. And I put my coffee in there and I blend it up in my magic bullet. And that's basically my breakfast. I start my day usually around 4:30, 5 o'clock, but that's not because I'm some lunatic. It's because my first client's usually around 5:30. So I have to be at somebody's house or at the gym early. So I wake up early. That's what I eat for the first or consume for the first few hours of the day. While I'm getting ready for my clients, I'll usually boil a couple of eggs, like 3 eggs. And that'll be what I have as like technically breakfast, but it's really kind of like a mid-morning snack for me because I consider that coffee to be my breakfast. And then as the day goes by, I'll have also made the previous night. I'll make it's called batch cooking. We talk about it quite a bit on my show. We talk about it in my SkyFit challenge. Basically what I do is I cook once and I eat 5 meals. So I'll make something like a grass-fed chili. Or I'll make these spinach stuffed mushrooms, and those will be my meal for the lunch for like 3 days. And so it becomes actually quite easy to eat healthy because I'm not ending up at a McDonald's because I'm last minute running in to go grab something. I'm just tossing some food in the microwave at work for a minute, and then I have my food. So it could be anywhere from steak to burger, and like you were talking about, like wrapped in lettuce or something like that. Even some like sweet potato French fries that are baked in the oven, which are delicious. Some broccoli, and all of that stuff heats up well. And that's basically my lunch. And then dinner, if I don't have time, one of my staples is like stopping on the way home and picking up a whole roasted chicken. My wife and I will have that. And sometimes I'll even grab 2, and then I'll turn the second one into a chicken salad. And then I'll have that for lunch if I don't have any food lined up for the next day. So it's like I'm always thinking ahead. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people, they think, oh my God, it's so much work to be healthy. The thing is that if you want to be successful at business, you can't just day by day just hope that it's going to fucking work. Yeah. You have to have a plan. You have to have some kind of strategy for success. So this way you are going to see some movement in your business, an increase in revenue, or maybe like just, growing your social media, whatever it is. You have to take initiative. You have to have a plan, then you have to execute. It's the same thing with your health. If people think that they're just going to like wake up and be healthy one day, good luck. You're probably, and just like you and I were talking about before we started, there's a little bit of analysis paralysis, right? There's so much to know.
Yeah.
What do I do? Just pick one fucking thing, do it for a month, 2 months, 3 months. And if it works for you, great. Rinse and repeat. If it feels good, you like to do it, awesome. And then you can pick and choose. You can cherry pick. Oh, well, this part of this worked for me. I'm going to keep that.
Yeah.
I'm going to, when I go to bed at night, I'm going to wear my blue blocker sunglasses, and that helps me get through a night. I'm going to stop drinking coffee at noon because if I don't, then I don't get to sleep early enough and I feel like I'm restless while I sleep. Then therefore I'm not rested the next day, and it leaves me feeling, anxious for the first part of the day.
Yeah.
So there's all these different things that you can implement. So, that really can start to structure your life. It's just, find one thing, pick it, go with it, see how it works, and learn.
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing in business, the same thing in basically sports, everything. It just apply the strategy and then really just be honest with yourself. Did it work?
Yeah, and like I said, I like the fact that even with your clients, like you find out what works for them and you kind of move forward from there. But people are watching this or listening to this online, and they're like, well, how do I work with a guy who lives in LA? Like what's going on there? So how do people get a hold of you to really start working with you? Like, are you like, I know we talked about the SkyFit challenge and we did all that stuff, but like, how do people get involved in that? And how do they really kind of start working with you as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on how much attention you need, right? So going back to the SkyFit Challenge, just to kind of tell you what that is, SkyFit Challenge is an 8-week workout program that's just body weight. You don't need a gym membership. You could the workouts are no more than 20 minutes, and you could do them right at home. But what it does incorporate is nutrition, and we have these 4 habits that are very big needle mover habits. One is drinking water, 80 to 100 ounces of water every single day. I'm giving you basically, here's the keys to the castle, right? 80 ounces of water every single day, 2 to 3 vegetable servings every single day, working out for 20 minutes every single day. And that could be literally taking a walk or something. There's depending on your fitness level, all you need to do is just implement the habit, and then eliminating processed food and sugar from your day-to-day eating. And if you can do that, it's not as easy as it sounds, right? Where there's some motivation that's needed, right? Accountability that's needed, which is one of the reasons why the challenge is really helpful, because we've got all the accountability built in, all the motivation, the community, and everything around that built in, so people don't fall through the cracks. Mm-hmm. But if you do those 4 things, we had somebody in 8 weeks lose 30 pounds. I mean, 30 pounds,
that's crazy.
And we did a Skype call afterwards. I recorded it. It's on my testimonials. He's like, Rob, I don't even know what happened. I never felt hungry. I was just doing what I was told to do. And I feel like it was not even that hard. I just had to show up and do the things that I was supposed to do that day. And the weight just started falling off. He lost the first 10 pounds in the first week and a half. Yeah. It just was poof, dropped right off. And it was just, and then after that, it was just a steady loss, and we have that for most people. For most people, it's just, they need a little bit of hand holding, right? Sure. And so that's great. That's the SkyFit Challenge. Now, in terms of working with me, I'm moving away from counting to 15 for people and having them do bicep curls in front of a mirror with me that's kind of boring. I don't mind doing it, but at the same time, I don't really get all that much reward from it. Because I'll tell you this, honestly, most of the time when you work with clients who are wealthy, and this is not everybody, but they expect their money to work and not them. Yeah. Right. And so if you really do want to make a change, you're going to have to go through a little bit of pain, right? There's going to have to be that growing pain of transitioning from this lifestyle that you're in right now to the new lifestyle that you're trying to create for yourself. You have to merge those 2 worlds and get rid of some stuff and add some new stuff, right? Sure. Yeah. So that's basically how it works. And that's when I work with people one-on-one. That's what I do with them as a one-on-one coach, just like this. Yeah. Right. I'll give you workouts that you can do, but I'll be honest.
So you have one-on-one coaches or clients all around the world.
That's right. Cool. Yeah. I have people that I meet with every single week for an hour, and I'll talk to them about how they can implement this stuff into their life. I keep them accountable. I check in with them. I'm basically, I'm a text message away from being like, hey, I'm at the supermarket. What do I do here? Or I need a little bit of help with this. What do I do? And that's me. I'm their coach. If you want to learn how to play a sport, you need to get a coach. If you want to become a lawyer, you need to go to school and actually learn how to do that. Nobody's taught how to be healthy. I wasn't. It took me 10, 15 years to figure this shit out.
Wow. That's really cool. So then the coolest part about hosting a podcast, is you get to talk to really successful people who just kind of figured it out. And so the neat part is, since you're on my show, you're a successful person. You just figured it out. We were talking about how you're in the top 1% in the world. I'm not going to say the financial numbers, but you guys can guess how much 1% of the world is. Figure that out. We just talked about that, right? So you're successful, whether that's financially. I mean, you're happily married. You got a kid on the way. A lot of great things are happening in your life, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, everybody kind of defines success differently. So my question for you is, what's your definition of success? And what are 3 things you do every single day to ensure that success?
I would, in my opinion, and this is something that I work on, my opinion, success comes down to a comfort and a happiness within yourself. Right. If you can really be comfortable and happy with who you are in this exact moment, this moment, continuously, that is true success. Because we're always looking for the number financially. When I get to this number, then I'm successful. Health wise, when I lose this much weight, then I'm successful. But the reality of it is, unless you are truly happy in this moment, you will never be happy. So the goal is to learn how to be happy in this moment. And that might be, by figuring out what you're grateful for, whatever it is, however you can do that for yourself. For me, that's the definition of success. I don't know. What was your other part? What was the other part of this
three
question?
things you do every day to ensure that success?
Well, on a weekly basis, I go to therapy, right? So that's something that I try to remind myself of. So I continuously try to, check in with myself. But on a day-to-day basis, in terms of that's a good question, because I think that making sure that I'm taking care of myself. So my go to bed habits, like wearing my blue blocker sunglasses. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but basically it just helps us kind of prepare our brains and our bodies for sleep. It sets me up the next day for being rested and happy.
Right.
Reviewing all the positive things that happen in my day. Like what, instead of going at the end of the day going, oh shit, I forgot to do this, and this. It's like, what did I do today? That is a great way to get yourself set up. And then the next morning when you wake up, basically meditate. Take 10 minutes to just center your mind, and not get right away wrapped into all the crazy stuff that's happening to you that you need, like checking your emails and checking your Facebook and checking your Instagram. Just meditate for 10 minutes, just get your mind centered. And that's a really impactful way to achieve that kind of daily presence and happiness.
Awesome. I love that. So I wrap up every single one of these shows with 5 rapid fire questions. But before we get there, how do people get in touch with you? How do they get involved with SkyFit Challenge? How do they listen to your podcast? By the way, I will say this. I love the podcast format that you use because it's you and your wife. And there's not many shows out there that are like that. And it's like you guys and your journey. So that's a big shout out to you guys. But how do people find all that stuff?
Well, they can find OpenSkyFitness.com is basically the hub for everything. If you're interested in doing the challenge, it's just OpenSkyFitness.com/challenge for all the details about that. And then, we're everywhere on social media is Open Sky Fitness. So they can easily find that. In terms of the wife thing and her being on the show with me, it just makes sense that, this is what we're building is our world together. Yeah. And unless, just like you being healthy, and if you were married and had kids, you can't change your own personal health until you change the environment and the world around you. And that means basically enrolling everyone to be a part of that. So the fact that she's on the show is only because she's a part of that world for me.
Awesome. I love that, man. So we'll get in the 5 rapid fire questions. Some are fun, some are serious, but I ask you this. Answer with only one word or at the most one sentence. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
I probably should have did my homework. There's probably do you ask these same questions every time?
No, they're not the same every time. Just the last 2 are the same.
Okay.
But what's the most embarrassing song you listen to when you work out?
Oh, geez. Maybe like You Can Call Me Al with like, I don't, because it's like, you don't know that song. Paul Simon?
Oh, no. Yeah, I do know it. I do know it. Yeah, okay,
Man walks down the street, he says, why am I? Yeah, that song. Yeah.
No, just keep singing. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. I'll get right in here. Hello.
If your wife could describe you in one word, what would it be?
I would say, that's shit. If she asked me that, if she used to say, let's see, probably too motivated to just get too much shit done. Yeah, that's a sentence, but it's not a word. It's not a word.
Scatterbrained.
That'd be a good one.
I'm going to ask her, by the way. I'm going to send her a message on Facebook.
I don't think I'm scatterbrained. I think that I try to like do
overachiever.
I'm an overachiever. That's better.
That's a good word.
I'm an overachiever. Yeah.
If you could have dinner with one person living or dead, who would it be?
I think it would be my grandfather on my dad's side.
Nice.
And the reason I've met him, but I've never had a conversation with him because he only spoke French, and I never got to like really have a sit down conversation with him because he died before, like he died when I was a teenager, and it was like we never had a conversation.
That's interesting.
It would be a really interesting conversation. I'd like to ask him some questions.
So would he speak English or would you speak French?
Either way, it's as long as we can convince. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I hear you.
Right.
At the end of your life, if you could only be remembered for one sentence, what would it be?
He helped a lot of people.
Awesome. And obviously this show is called The Growth Now Movement. So I wrap up every single episode with this one question. And that is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
Biggest moment of growth. I would say probably over this last 6 months that my wife has been pregnant has been my biggest moment of growth. Has nothing to do with financial at all. It has everything to do with really, once I know I've got a baby on the way and my life's about to change, I've been like changing the way that I see the world and how I'm going to have an impact.
I love that. I'm one of the number one guy I'm like actively going after to get on the show is Andy Grammer. So if you know him, let me know.
Okay.
And he's got a song called Spaceship, which is about when his wife is pregnant. You should listen to it. It's an interesting song, especially for somebody in your shoes to listen to for sure. But Rob, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, man. You know, I'm thankful for your friendship. Also, people listening, make sure you keep an eye out for the show that we're actually launching together. There's 6 of us that we're launching together. I'm not exactly sure when, hopefully soon.
Or what we'll call it.
But really, really excited for that. And man, just thank you so much for being you and changing the fitness world every single day, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate hanging out with you always, and I appreciate the friendship as well.
Absolutely, man. Thanks. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Growth Now movement. This is how you can really help me out. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please share it out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And let's grow this movement to epic heights, and it's all going to be because of you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.